All right, today we're diving into something that is a genuine revolution in the making. And it's not happening in some Silicon Valley garage. No, this is happening deep inside the world of medical research. We're talking about a groundbreaking new AI that is completely changing the game for how we find new cures. So let's get right into it. I mean, this is a question that affects pretty much all of us, right? You hear about some promising new research, but then the journey? I mean, the journey from that lab discovery to a medicine you can actually pick up at a pharmacy feels like it takes forever and costs a fortune. So why is that? It's not like we're short on brilliant scientists or money being poured into research. The real reason is, well, it's something else entirely. Because the real problem, the thing holding everything up, is this massive hidden bottleneck. Think about it. Modern medicine generates absolute mountains of data. We're talking genomic sequences, clinical trial results, all this complex molecular information. It's just a flood. But our ability to actually make sense of it all, to find those life-saving patterns hidden deep inside, we've been falling desperately behind. So let's really dig into this hidden bottleneck. And you gotta understand, this isn't just some small snag in the system. Oh no, this is a fundamental problem that's grinding the entire engine of medical progress to a crawl. And to really get it, we need to zoom in on the specific field where this whole data crunch is happening. That field? It's called bioinformatics. You can kind of think of it as the central nervous system of modern biology. It's where scientists use powerful computers to sift through all that complex biological data, hunting for clues about diseases and, hopefully, potential cures. It is absolutely essential work. But the problem is, right now, that system is completely overloaded. It's in a state of crisis. Okay, so what does this bioinformatics crisis actually look like in the real world? Let's talk about the actual tangible impact. Because when you see the numbers, they're pretty staggering. They really paint a picture of a system that's stretched to its absolute breaking point. First up, let's just talk about the cost. A single big organization, we're talking a pharmaceutical company or a major research institute, can spend up to $25 million a year. And that's just on salaries for the highly specialized experts who have to manually comb through all this data. It's a huge financial drain before a single discovery is even close to being made. And then there's the time. The sheer agonizing delay. When you're relying on people to do this manually, discovering a new biomarker, which is, a really crucial indicator of a disease, can be delayed by up to a year and a half. Just think about that. That's 18 months where patients and their families are just waiting. 18 months where a potentially life-saving treatment isn't moving forward. And if that wasn't bad enough, there's the problem of reliability. Okay, so a super critical part of science is being able to combine results from different studies to make sure a discovery is real. Well, the manual process for doing that, it fails 95% of the time. 95%. That means the results just aren't reproducible, which is a massive, massive problem in science. So let's just put it plainly. The old way of doing things is broken. It's just flat out broken. It costs way too much, it takes way too long, and the results you get are inconsistent and unreliable. It just can't scale. We basically have this 21st century data explosion, and we're trying to tackle it with a 20th century analysis system. It's just not working. But what if you could just replace that entire manual bottlenecked system? What if you could build something completely new to take its place? What if you could build an AI scientist to do the work? Well, that's exactly where this story is headed. So let's meet our hero, ADPA. That stands for Autonomous DEG Pipeline Agent. Now, that's a mouthful, but the DEG part basically refers to a key technique scientists use to find important signals hidden in our genetic data. And this AI system, ADPA, is designed to do all of that complex analysis completely on its own. It doesn't get tired, it doesn't make simple human errors, it doesn't need someone looking over its shoulder. It is, for all intents and purposes, a tireless digital scientist. So, how does this thing actually work? Well, the process is actually pretty straightforward. First, you feed it the raw, messy data straight from a study. Then it just goes to work, running all the complex analyses completely by itself. Now, this next part is really the secret sauce. It intelligently fine-tunes all the statistical settings to make sure it's getting the most accurate result possible. And then at the end, it spits out a fully validated, totally reproducible answer. And this quote here really nails it. This thing isn't just a faster version of an old tool. It's a transformative automation layer. What does that mean? It means it fundamentally changes the entire process. You go from being totally dependent on a few overworked human experts to having an autonomous system that can scale up massively and even get smarter over time. Okay, that all sounds really impressive in theory, but what does it actually mean in practice? What's the real-world impact? Well, this is where it gets crazy, because the numbers, they tell a truly revolutionary story. I mean, just look at this side-by-side comparison. Costs, slashed by up to 95%. Speed, we're talking 10 to 100 times faster. And the quality, the actual reliability of the results, it improves by 200 to 400%. I mean, come on, these aren't just little tweaks. These are absolutely game-changing leaps forward.
And this really shows you the insane scale we're talking about. The throughput, that's just the sheer amount of analysis you can get done, it goes up by 100 to 1,000 times. Think about what that means. Studies that were literally impossible before, like analyzing genetic data from millions of people at once, suddenly that's on the table.
Now, when you have an innovation that's this disruptive, it doesn't just change the science, it also creates an absolutely enormous economic opportunity. We are talking about unlocking a market that's worth tens of billions of dollars.
And AdDPA is perfectly positioned to grab a huge piece of that pie across several key markets. You've got over $23 billion in just general workflow automation, another $12+ billion in the bioinformatics space specifically, and then $4 billion in AI for drug discovery. And seriously, those are just the top three. So you add it all up, and the total market that this one AI scientist is set to completely revolutionize, it's valued at over $50 billion. That is a massive prize for the tech that can finally break that data bottleneck we've been talking about.
So, the big takeaway here, the thing to really remember, is that this is so much more than just an upgrade. This is a fundamental shift in how science itself gets done. We're moving from a world of expert dependency and these painful manual bottlenecks to a future of autonomous systems, incredible scale, and of course, a massive return on investment.
And all of this leaves us with one last really big question. For centuries, the pace of scientific discovery has been limited by the speed of the human mind, by the speed of the human hand. But if we can now automate the very process of discovery itself, well, what incredible breakthroughs are just waiting for us right around the corner? What on earth are we going to discover next?